Yo, what's going on, buddy? This is Dylan Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some of the new NFL rules that are going to be coming to the NFL in the 2024-2025 season. One of the main rules that we're going to be discussing is we're going to talk about the NFL kickoff rules. We've been talking about in the past about how the kickoff has not really been that much of a thing. Kickers nowadays, they just want to boot the ball into the back of the end zone, make it a touchback, ball comes out the 25-yard line. But now they're trying to almost change it up a little bit, kind of like the way we see these other leagues like the CFL, the XFL, the USFL have been trying to do the past couple years. They're bringing those rules from there and they're bringing them into the NFL. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to kind of go through, we're going to review some of the new rules that have been proposed that could happen, could not happen, and then we're also going to talk about the main rules that are going to be happening. Like I said, the kickoff rule and a couple other things. Real quick before I go any further, everything you're going to be seeing on screen going forward is going to be linked down in the description below, so if you want to go check out everything for yourself, feel free to do so. But without further ado, if you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into some of the proposals that have been put forward from some NFL teams that have not actually gone into effect just yet, just kind of proposals at this point. First up, we have the Detroit Lions. It says here they submitted a rule change that will allow coaches to get a third challenge if one of the first two challenges is successful. Which I'm guessing, based off of what it says, if they were to challenge and they get both challenges right, they get a third challenge. They're proposing just make it to where if you get at least one challenge right, you get a second, or will get a third challenge. I don't know if I like that. I like the way of the, if you get both your two challenges right, you get a third one. So I'm going to say a no to that one because it would just be kind of stupid. All you got to do is get one challenge, you get a third one. At that point, you're slowing the game down a lot. I think the two challenges already, it's fine. Let's just keep it at two. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills want the NFL to allow practice squad quarterbacks to be eligible to serve as an emergency third quarterback on game days. The current rule requires that the third quarterback be a part of the 53-man roster. With the way the NFL season went last year, I kind of understand this rule, but here's what I'll say. If you go into an NFL game with three quarterbacks and you somehow get all three quarterbacks hurt, you need to look at your coaching and figure out what the hell are we doing with the play calling? Why are we calling plays that are getting the quarterback hurt? Let's just run the fuck. Like, when you get your starting quarterback hurt, that's the point where you put in your backup and you say, don't do anything stupid. Let's just run the ball, quick little passes, and nothing that's going to get you hurt. And if he gets hurt and you have to go to your third quarterback, at that point, you better just tell the quarterback, run the ball 50 times the rest of the game. No throwing, you're just handing it off. So for this one, I'm going to say a no. The third one is the Pittsburgh Steelers propose moving the trade deadline back 1 week to after the Week 9 games. In a separate proposal, 6 other teams suggested moving it back until after Week 10. Now, this one I do like. I like the Week 10 proposal. That would make the most sense with the way the season now, the way it goes now with 18 weeks and 17 games the teams play. Right now, it's Week 8 is the trade deadline. That doesn't really give teams a lot of time to kind of figure out what their team's going to be, if they want to make trades, if teams that realize, okay, we stink, oh, maybe we're contenders, okay, we need a quarterback, oh, we need a defensive guy. Week 10 would give a good buffer to kind of understand, okay, this is what we need. We're at the midway point. We now kind of can look at what do we need. Can we go out and trade for anybody? Do we want to trade anybody away? And I think Week 10 will be a very good idea, and I hope they make that. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. It says here they would like the NFL to make available the raw, quote, Hawkeye, quote, replay feed in coach's booth rather than only in the replay booth. This, I think, could be useful. I'm guessing about the Hawkeye is probably just a better version of replay to where like they get a more kind of overhead view of what's going on the field. Right now, I'm guessing they're saying it's only in the replay booth and not in the coach's booth. So the coach's booth where they can kind of quickly review it and then signal down to the head coach and say, hey, throw that challenge flag. We can win this challenge. I'm guessing they're just saying, give the coach's booth that Hawkeye view so they can get a better view. So I kind of like that. And last up, it says here the Eagles hope to see game clocks display tenths of a second in the final minute of each half. This would actually be a good one because of the times where we see the clocks in the final minutes of a game where it goes 3, 2, 1. If you have tenths of a second, you can stop worrying about, okay, well, they're going to snap the ball, oh, but it goes 1 second and then it just goes to 0 seconds. Players can actually look at it and they can see that tenths of a second going down rather than thinking, okay, hit one, come on, snap it. They can look at that tenths of a second coming down for like 0.6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get it off. So that one, I would say that one's a good one. Next up, we have the NFL kickoff rules. Now, this is from Pat McAfee show. This right here is the New Orleans Saints special teams coordinator. I forget his name, but he was kind of going through on Pat McAfee show, pretty much just diagnosing and explaining everything there is. I'll put this down in the description below if you want to go check it out. He breaks it down to a T on every single thing there is to do with this kickoff. He breaks it down to how it's going to work, how it's going to be run, everything. So if you are misunderstanding anything, go watch this video. It's about 3 minutes long. He explains it to a T. But a quick little summary of kind of how it works. It says here, kicking team. The 10 players cannot move until the ball hits the ground or player in the landing zone or the end zone. Next up, the receiving team, all players in the setup zone cannot move until the kick has hit the ground or a player in the landing zone or in the end zone. Next up, any kick that hits in the landing zone, goal line to the 20-yard line must be returned. Any kick that hits before the landing zone, touchback and goes to the 40 as if it went out of bounds. The kick that hits the landing zone and then rolls into the end zone is then down, touchback to the 20. Kick that lands in the end zone or goes out the back is a touchback, goes to the 35. And then onside kick, it's only for if the fourth quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to go and declare an onside kick to the officials. Current onside kick rules would apply. And last up, no fair catch or signal is allowed. And in case you're not following or you're like, what the fuck was you just talking about? This is a picture right here that kind of shows. Back here is the 35-yard line. The kicker is going to be standing all the way back here. You can follow my mouse. The kicker is going to be back here. He's going to kick the ball off. All the players on the kicking team are going to be starting right here, about roughly the 45 to 50-yard line, kind of in there. That's where they're going to be standing. The receiving team players, they're all going to be standing about right here, about the 30, 35-yard line on the opposing side, about 10 yards apart. Basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to limit the running ahead, full contact, just pounding and head concussions, hamstring, breaking ribs, all that sorts of stuff. They want to limit the just violent crash. And then back here we have the landing spot, about the 20 to 0 yard line, like I said. From the way it sounds is I'm guessing they're going to have a player standing here in the landing zone and they have to catch the ball. And like it says here, if it goes in the landing zone, it has to be returned by rule. Any kick that hits before the landing zone, so anywhere here past the 20-yard line, is going to be, I guess it says, just claimed as a touchback, and it's going to be just brought out to the 40. Basically, the way that rule is going to work is as if back whenever we had the kickoff. Normally, if you kick the ball out of bounds, it's going to be the same exact thing here, just you got to get it at least inside the 20 to 0-yard line. If you boot it at the back of the end zone and it goes through the end zone, and it's going to be just a 35, it goes, the ball would get brought out to the 35-yard line. The moral of the story is kickers, when they go to kick the ball off, they are going to have to try to be aiming precision-like accuracy and make sure that ball hits somewhere here in the 20 to 0-yard line aim. Here's the thing. For some of you, you might be saying, that's so, like, easy. And I would say you're goddamn correct. And I'd be saying the same thing to the kickers. Like, if you can't kick the ball within this area, there's something wrong. Now, a couple things I would have to question. Number one, you're not really going to limiting the crashing, because say you kick the ball and they catch it somewhere here about the 5-yard line, you're still getting about a 40 to 35, maybe 30-yard buffer, especially if a guy can get past one of your returners or your blockers and just like 2 to 3 guys get free. They're coming full head steam. You're still going to probably crash around the 20-yard line. And they say they don't want to any more crashing. They want to limit it. Well, how about why would you take away the fair catch? The fair catch was one of the main points of call the fair catch the ball, and it just gets brought out to the 20 or 25-yard line before. Now, here's my overall thing with this rule. I think it's going to be something interesting. We're going to have to get used to it. The only thing I don't like is, as it says here, the onside kick. They're pretty much taking the onside kick out of the game. Because now you have to go signal to the refs that you're going to be onside kicking. You have to let them know you're onside kicking. Then they have to let the other team let you know that you're onside kicking. It's the same exact thing as like going for a 2-point conversion. You bring an ineligible receiver onto the field, like an offensive lineman. You got to let the refs know. The refs got to let the other team know. And then they pretty much know, okay, this player can possibly catch the ball. They're accounting for him. They're trying to cover him just in case he decides to leak out for a ball. Same thing's going to apply here. They're going to know the onside kick's coming. Nowadays, you can't do like what we saw the New Orleans Saints do a couple years ago in the Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts, where they just pop surprise onside kick. Or Pat McAfee did so many times in his career where he just boop, onside kick, didn't even see it coming, and he recovers it himself. And hell, for the amount of guys in the NFL history that have made a career off of returning, Devin Hester, Joshua Cribbs, Cordell Patterson, these guys made a career off just being on special teams. Now, special teams is not really going to be a big thing in football. And they say they want to bring it back. They say they want NFL kickoffs to be a big thing in the NFL. Well, the whole point of the kickoff, if kickers were to maybe use the landing zone but just leave the gunners back here around like the 35-yard line, it would still be good. I just think this is going to be a little bit different and something to kind of get used to. The landing zone as well. It's going to be something to get used to, and I don't really know how we're going to get through it. Like I said, it's going to be a learning curve. We'll try and we'll figure it out. I think players, they'll figure it out. They'll kind of get used to it. But as a fan watching, it's going to be kind of weird to watch the first, I would say, at least 4 or 5 weeks. Next up, we have the stupidest rule I've ever seen. They're trying to eliminate hip drop tackles. It says here, as highlighted in blue, meanwhile, the committee's attempt to eliminate the hip drop tackle is a dangerous technique that often results in lower body injuries, requires officials to note 2 actions. One is if a defender, quote, grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms, quote, according to the wording of the proposal, and also, quote, unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and or trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee, quote. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a picture up on screen of the definition of a hip drop tackle. Here's my thing with it. NFL defensive players have pretty much spoken out over the past couple of days saying this is like just going to make playing football as a defensive player so much more difficult. And I'm not gonna lie, I agree with them. Like at this point, you can't hit a quarterback, you can't touch a quarterback because you get called for roughing the passer. Nowadays, you can't hit a receiver when they don't have the ball. If they're going to catch the ball and you hit them, it's going to be unnecessary roughness. Now you got to find new ways to tackle the player. If you go to grab a guy up and he's like trying to fight you and he's still running, and you just use your strength and you bring him and throw him, and he decides to go dead weight, make it look like you just chucked him, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards. Now, if you go and try to actually yank him to the ground, hip drop tackle, 15 yards. And I see what they're doing. They're trying to make it to where there's going to be so much offense. The NFL, they want 40 to 50 games, 35, 45 games. They want offense. They hate defense. Now, the past couple of years, we've seen more defense. We've seen the defense kind of kick up a notch. And the defensive players, they've adjusted to it. They try to get through the rules. Then they've made their dues. This thing is going to be one of the worst rules I've seen in a while. And some of the other rules, as I say here, first one was to add 2 instances of the list of reviewable plays, whether a passer is out of bounds or down by contact before throwing, and whether the game clock has expired before this snap. Surprisingly enough, I didn't know this wasn't a reviewable play, but if it's not, yes, let's make this a reviewable. I think everything should be reviewable in the NFL. Anything that could be possibly game altering, it needs to be reviewable. Next up, we have to expand the rule against crackback blocks to players, quote, who go in motion and move beyond the center to block a defender at or below the knee, quote. I don't really see a problem with it, but I guess if players want to change the rule up a little bit, that's on them, good for them. But overall, when it comes to all these proposals, like I said, that hip drop tackle is going to be one that's going to fuck with a lot of defensive players' minds, and they're going to take some time to try to figure this out. I'm pretty sure there's going to be like the whole next month throughout training camp, OTAs, mini camp, everything. They're going to be practicing how the fuck do we tackle without hip drop tackling, hitting the guy in the head. Like, what do you do at this point? And like I said, this whole kickoff thing, it's going to be something to get used to. We'll kind of figure it out. Like I said, players, they'll get used to it. They might have some fun with it. But as a fan watching it on TV, it's going to be at least like week 4, 5, 6 before we're just kind of accustomed to it, and we're not going to think anything about it. But those first, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to be a little weird. But other than that, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go on to enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you can drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciative to do so. If you want to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. Like I said, if you have a different opinion, do you like any of these rule proposals? Do you dislike any of the rule proposals? Like I said, if you think any of the kickoff, the hip drop tackles, the expanding, the trade deadline, the quarterback rule, any of the rule proposals, if you like or dislike them and you want to leave your complete opinion down in the comment section down below, feel free to do so. If you're a fan of the content that I do post here and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so, and do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified second to post. But without further ado, this has been Donald Tech Sports. Have a great day. Peace.